What is going on, guys? Sid here with another FIFA 22 video, and welcome to the RTG on this channel. This should be episode 3 when you guys do see this video. So guys, yesterday was my father's birthday, and I didn't really get to play too many FIFA 22 matches, not as much as I wanted to, for Rivals Rewards, for adequate and proper Rivals Rewards. So when I did try to get into matches last night, that's when the server maintenance happened, right? So completely just shot me in the foot, right? So I couldn't climb Rivals, and as you know, we've just been testing out players to see what players work in La Liga specifically, right? So this brings me to today. So today, after I opened my Rivals Rewards, like when they dropped, I got up super late, but I was like really well rested, so it was kind of like a weird kind of like situation where, you know, I was extremely well rested and happy that I got that rest, but then like I jumped into the matches, right, for today, and you know, trying out players and whatnot, and my reflexes were just completely off. My circadian rhythm is completely, I don't know, it's to the moon right now. Like, I don't know, man. It's just completely gone, right? So it took me a long time today, a considerably long time to warm up in FIFA 22 matches, right? And just relearning the mechanics takes an extra oomph, like right at the beginning, right? So you have to learn what works, what doesn't work in this FIFA compared to other FIFAs. So, long story short, guys, I packed Eder Militao in a gold preview pack, right? So I'm going to tell you right off the bat how he feels in comparison, right, before we do anything, in comparison to Alaba. Okay, so Alaba, what you're going to notice is that his dribbling stats are way higher, right? He's a little lower on the pace side, but his dribbling stats are higher. So now, when you strap a shadow on Militao and when you strap a shadow on Alaba, respectively, Militao is going to be much faster in game, right? Plus his physicality is just naturally faster. He's a pure defender, pure center back, right? So this is established. Now the thing is with Alaba, he's much more well-rounded. So his dribbling stats, me coming off of, you know, that 80 dribbling, right, where these stats actually do help the agility, the balance, the reactions, right? Definitely the reactions, right? Me coming from that to coming to 69 agility, 63 balance, right? And 70 dribbling, and his composure is a 74. So these things, you can feel the difference, right? Because you're going from an 84 to an 82, obviously, right? But in the key areas, not that big of a deal, but the subtleties are going to be the only thing that you notice. And Eder Militao edges out Alaba, right, by the tiniest fraction to make it into the starter squad. That's what I had to say about Eder Militao. Now, second order of business, right? So we tried out Suarez in the previous edition, the previous episode. And Suarez is absolutely brilliant, right? I love Suarez. And now as I'm climbing divisions, I put back on Correa, and I paired Correa with Griezmann. Why? Because even though Suarez is absolutely beast when it comes to shooting, the consistency of the players getting into that position and beating players, right? Because I did mention that skill moves, you know, you still do need the 4-star skill moves minimum, right? For the most part in, you know, FIFA, right? So that brings me back to Correa and Griezmann, right? They're great for right now. But I wanted to test out the in-between player, which is Karim Benzema. So I tested Karim Benzema out as a striker and a cam, right? The regular card. That card, guys, is absolute trash, right? Okay, so he's slower. That's number one. He's got the 4-star skill moves, but he's medium. But his physicality, the distribution of his physical stats, just absolutely ridiculous. It's just so bad, right? It is so dangerously bad. It's all tied to his jumping, right? His physical stats. If you look at the stats carefully, right, and he's a less aggressive player. So if you were going to choose a stockier, bigger player, right, a slower player, I would go with Suarez because of the work rates on the Suarez card, right, over Benzema if you wanted a bigger player. Right? So we've established two things today. Eder Militao slightly nudges out Alaba. We've also established that Karim Benzema is a waste. The only thing that he's gonna the regular gold card, right, not the inform. So the only thing that you would want to do if you have that Benzema card, you're gonna want to hold him, right? If you have a lot of coins, right, and you don't want that card in your squad, hold that card, right, until um until the newest player of the month SBC is released in your respective league, right, that you're playing, or if there's a ones to watch SBC or something like that, right, because that rating on the card is really, really good for the price, right? So that's all I have to say with those two things. Now, getting back to today's business, right? I know I can be long-winded at times, but guys, check this card out. So the thing about this card, right, it could shoot me in the foot, but we're going to test him out right now, right? Early crosser, speed dribbler, team player, Jesus Navas, guys. Pace, his pace and his defending stats are night and day better. It's night and day better than Carvajal, right? His physicality, however, look at that red bar. You guys see it, and I see it as well. His strength is super, super low. Does want me to use an anchor. It does kind of like you understand, it kind of wants you, it's going to force you to use an anchor, but I want to see if we can get away with using a shadow, right, and just upping his pure defensive stats. But if not, we will switch over to an anchor. So guys, I have not tried this card out at all. My reflexes should be fired up. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to get into 3 games for episode 3, and today's video will be centered around Jesus Navas. Can he do the business in the back line and just make this team just that much more brilliant? Alright, so we get into the first match, and definitely my opponent knows how to play FIFA. Right off the bat, I'm just going to let you guys know that right now. And also what I'm going to tell you right off the bat about Jesus Navas, like right from the start, he is incredibly well-rounded. The card is amazing for a defensive card. The dribbling on the card, the passing on the card, the pace on the card, natural defensive stats on the card, they're all absolutely superb. The physicality is pretty much the only, the strength is pretty much the only drawback on the card. The card plays like Jordi Alba, like an early version of a Jordi Alba card, right, in previous FIFAs. Definitely feels like you're playing with 2 Jordi Albas. That's how Jesus Navas feels in game, right? Like right off the bat, I'm gonna tell you that, right? And my opponent came out guns blazing, had pro player written all over his face, right? This match had pro player written all over it, right? So definitely was taking my opponent as serious as humanly possible, right? But yeah, Jesus Navas' touch is just amazing, right? For a defender, for a fullback, he's just absolutely amazing, right? And he feels just like Jordi Alba would feel. But the one thing that irks me is, about goalkeepers right now, is that you'll be in the box and it'll be like very close range efforts on goal, and you still won't be able to score probably 7 times out of 10, right? 6 to 7 times out of 10, you will not score that goal, right? Maybe even more, probably 7 to 8 times you won't score the goal, right? That should be obvious goals. So do I mind it? Not as much as you would think, right? I'm not one of those guys, right? But I understand the frustration with people, right? Because one thing I'm going to tell you right now, finesse shots are non-existent inside the box, right? Don't even bother finessing inside the box. I hear, from what I've heard today and today alone, from what I've looked up and heard from other players, is that finesse shots from outside the box are really good, right? So I did try 1 or 2 times, right? But there I just do like a brute blunt force type goal. Did not expect to score it, but I was just getting very frustrated against this goalkeeper, right? And especially, this goalkeeper in particular, very frustrating match, right? So my opponent could have equalized, right? And I think I clipped this video a little wrong because but it's too late to go back now. But he does equalize with Dybala, by the way, right? But I don't mind the fact that I clipped it, because I actually don't like this. Like this player is a I don't want to be mean, right? But this was a little bit of a sneaky dude, right? So what I mean when I say that is that well, you're gonna see, right? You're gonna see. It was a smart tactic on his part. I'm not gonna lie, right? And I did not mean to clip out his goal. His goal was absolutely brilliant, right? His goal was one of the better comeback goals. He kind of like destroyed Militao in the box, right? So, like I said, he has pro player written all over his face. I could be mistaken or whatever, but this dude really knows his FIFA, right? I'll say that much, right? But really cheap. Right, really cheap. There you're gonna see Jesus Navas' strength. His strength, he'll pretty much fall, right? But more oftentimes than not, your opponent will not want to engage with Jesus Navas simply because they won't feel they can beat him in terms of a pace, in terms of a pace battle, right? So they don't feel as confident with the breaks, right? It's very apparent that the players are scared to just do these breaks. But here, guys, I bring on my Dybala, and look what he does right at the ending. That should have been 2-1, right? And that's how the first match ends, right? And what I took away from this was that players did not want to engage with my right back. Okay, so that was the first match, right? It finishes 1-1. I'm gonna tell you ahead of time. Like, I had so many chances on goal, so many damn chances on goal, right? And it was just ridiculous how many of them, how many inside the box, saves were made by my opponent's goalkeeper, right? Absolutely insane. But it was very unfortunate that I accidentally clipped out the video, as in the splitting process, I accidentally clipped out my opponent's goal. But it's not that big of a deal, because I would have probably just omitted this match, not even calling him out, right? It was a smart tactic, right, to foul me, foul the last man, right? He got a red card for it, right? Deservedly so. But really cheap, right? Should have been a win. But I think the goal, I do bring it back here, so you're gonna see it. Yeah, so he does. Yeah, so the goal's there, right? Obviously I did keep this piece of it in, right? Because it was a really good play, and his Dybala scores, right? So that's the other reason, right? So the Koundé, you see Koundé over there barely lifting his leg up, right? So yeah, there you go. So yeah, he fouls me right when I'm about to score the game-winning goal, right? So that's the first match, to be expected. But what I did take away from Jesus Navas, right? What I felt, what you can feel that you can't put into stats in the first match, what I was getting an idea of was that, okay, my back line, super fast, super durable, for the most part, and they can track back, right? They keep their lines clean, and they can track back, right? Their defensive line is, more or less, they're in the correct positions, and the work rates on the card are acceptable, right? Not my favorite work rates, but they're acceptable. So we get into the second match now, and the second match is just a Jesus Navas master class. Clean tackle, as you can see right there, right? So just literally pay attention to the right back and the right back alone, right? Because this game actually, it's a pretty fast game, right? But it's a Jesus Navas masterclass, and this will give you an idea. The second match, this match in particular, will give you an idea of how Jesus Navas plays, right? So Militao's doing the work, right? Him and Koundé are doing the work. For more often times than not, that should have been the first goal of the game, guys. But yeah, Militao and Koundé are a perfect pairing, right, in the back, right? For more often times than not. The agility on the Militao card leaves a little bit to be wanting, but that's nitpicking, right? It's nitpicking. But it's the one area where you can make the debate for Alaba over Militao, right? And it's a barely any. And by the way, Koundé is probably the most consistent defender in La Liga, right? So here I try an outside finesse shot because I heard it was OP, but apparently just hit the bar, right? But this match was pretty much all me, right? No joke. It was just pure intensity. It felt like my best match of the day playing FIFA, right? And we're in Division 7 trying to go into Division 6, right? So right here, boom. He's with Mane, and Jesus Navas has a clean, super clean tackle, and he can and Mane thinks he's beating my right hand side, and no, it's absolutely not the case, right? So well, my opponent thinks he's beating the right hand side, and it's not the case. So that's the thing, right? That was the feeling I got. That was the feeling I got in the first match, and in the second match, it was definitely solidified that a lot of my players did not want to engage or were reluctant to engage on the right-hand side, right? So that, look, beautiful interception by Navas, right? So Navas was putting in a lot of work, right? And it's something that Carvajal could probably do, but the pace difference would have been the main difference between those two cards. And plus, Carvajal is probably dirt cheap right now, probably because his pace is lacking, right, in the back line, right? So right here, this probably should have been another goal, but it was very close to the goalkeeper as well. But I tried finessing it in, and yeah, what I'm taking away from my style of play is that I should never be finessing it in the box ever again, right, in this FIFA. That's what I'm getting. So right there, Jesus Navas tries to take on Martial. And what you were going to notice there, if you pull back the clip, is that he couldn't nudge him off the ball, right? And he did put him out of position, but he didn't nudge him off the ball, right? So the strength factor still does play a part. Not as big as you would think. Given how he's been playing, right? Because more oftentimes than not, more of the engagements that you're going to have with your opponent are clean tackles, right? So you're not really going to have to worry too much about the nudging aspect, but you'll always be cognizant, and you'll always know that that's going to be one of the issues. That the strength is going to be a little bit of a drawback with the card. But right now, in this match, right, this match is pretty much highlighting all of the best parts of the Jesus Navas card, right, which is absolutely brilliant. I'm absolutely loving the fact that I can bring you this footage, right? I can bring you excellent gameplay, right? And I'm still kind of annoyed, right? In this match, I'm still kind of annoyed, right? That my opponent in the first match, right, he pretty much red cards himself, right? It's a good red card. It's tactical. It's very, very tactical. It's a tactical red card, right? So you can't really take anything away from him. It's just a cheap play, right? Because he prevented a game-winning goal, right? So it's an obvious red card, but geez, it's so annoying. But in any case, I'm firing on all cylinders, right? And because I'm firing on all cylinders, it's not really that big of a deal. Get into the second match, and it was pretty much dominance, right? Dominance in the back line, which frustrated my opponent, and then the one goal with Griezmann to pretty much send it home, right? And if this match had continued, Jesus Navas would have probably made much more of an impact. But for more oftentimes than not, right, what you're going to have to take away from it, and you're going to have to dribble success rate of 100%, right, tackles for 75% success rate, right, but what you're going to really have to take away from this card that's really solidified by the second match, right? First match is you're feeling out the player. The second match, you're really trying to get an idea of what the player can do, right? So in the second match, it's pretty much highlights what you would expect them to highlight, right, in the card. And Jesus Navas is just an absolute beast. He's a monster in the back line. He's a monster right back in this game in La Liga, right? Feels like another Jordi Alba, right? More oftentimes than not, that's the feeling that's what you're gonna take away from the card, but a better version than the Jordi Alba I have right now, right? So we get into the third match, and I'm just gonna be real with you. The third match was pretty much a bore fest, right? And the same thing happened, right? Immobile is really strong in this FIFA. He's like one of the best strikers in this FIFA. He has destroyed my O block all day, right? In different matches, right? He's like goals that you wouldn't expect him to destroy Oblak with, he destroys Oblak. So that's just a little side note, because since we're like not just reviewing a Team of the Week card, but we're also getting an initial impressions on a lot of different cards. We just didn't tell you, if you guys are running a Serie A side, do consider using Immobile, because Immobile is absolutely, you know, his stats are really superb. But I'm gonna be real with you, in the third match, it was a bore fest, right? Every time I kept splitting the clip, I just kept thinking to myself, should I include this piece? Should I include this piece? Should I include this piece? Right? So, what I can take away, the first half was pretty much a bore fest, right? It was a snooze fest. It was just passing back and forth, 0-0, right? My opponent, he was decent, right? It was 4 shots to 3 shots. It was pretty good, right? He obviously stacked his back line, right? He's playing 5 at the back, right? So you know, he's a little hard to break down, right? And in terms of like goal scoring, what I'm taking away right now is that I have to do a lot more, or I have to figure out a lot more strategies in order to score more goals, right? At least for right now. In these divisions, we're moving up in divisions, and we're obviously starting to interface with pro players at this point in the game, right? So since we're all starting from the same point, it's probably players that are in a similar boat in terms of time constraints, right? That's what I'm taking away from this. But this match was definitely a bore fest, right? A lot of back and forth, and the same takeaway from match 2 to match 3, right? Match 1 was like a feeling out process, but match 3, right? That should have been the goal, right? Look, that should have been the goal. I started firing on all cylinders around this point, right? And should have been like so many damn times, right? Trying outside finesse, you know. So yeah, but the takeaway from the third match is similar to the second match, right? My opponent does not want to engage with me on the right-hand side. He doesn't want to engage with Militao or Koundé to begin with. Alaba is probably the weakest of the 4 in the back, right? But barely, right? But if we were to put them in order, right, it's probably going to be Koundé, Militao, right? Interchangeable. Then would come Jesus Navas in terms of the best defender that I've got in the back line, and then Alba, right? So Alba is the weakest out of the 4, but you know, in terms of positions, right? You have the best player in every position, right? If that makes any sense to you, right? So at this stage in FIFA, that's what you're gonna take away, right? If a player is coming across this Jesus Navas card, this Team of the Week Jesus Navas card, will they want to engage with him? No. And that should have been a goal, right? How many damn goals should I have gotten by now, right? So that should have been a goal on him, respectively, right? Because this opponent was strong too, right? It was a good defensive back and forth, right? You can't take away. I can't take away anything from the opponent in game 3, right? Game 1, my opponent was insanely strong. He was really, really good, right? And it's very unfortunate that I that the clip in the splitting process probably got accidentally moved, but it's okay. I could care less, right? It's kind of karmic in a way, because he did, you know, once again, he did play a little dirty, right? But it's FIFA. Take it down like 40 notches. Not, you know, my opponent's probably a cool dude, right? So, not trying to even bash him, right? It's just how the match went, right? It was probably sensed urgency and probably just red carded me, right? So, it doesn't have to be anything toxic. It's probably not a toxic player. It was probably a player that felt urgency, right? So, but I am annoyed, right? I'm downplaying it, but I'm a little annoyed, right? You can definitely be a little annoyed if the tactic is like that. But I mean, the main point of this video is to feel out Jesus Navas. And how does Jesus Navas feel, right? It's around the time when we're looking to, you know, it's around the time when I should be giving an initial impressions review on Jesus Navas. So if I were to review him today, with the strength in mind, right, I'm still giving the card a 9.5, right, at this stage in FIFA, right? Definitely one of the best right backs in the game, and His touch is amazing. His passing is amazing for this stage in FIFA for a defender. His touch is amazing. His passing is amazing. His agility is amazing. His pace is the best, right? It can be, for the most part, right? It's the only thing that he's lacking is a little bit of strength, right? So that's the one negative trait on the card. His work rate's high medium, which is normal for a fullback. Medium high is what I like to do because I'm a hyper conservative player, defensive player, but high medium is absolutely fine. It's workable in this FIFA, especially with defending being as tweaked as it's been in years, right? So the only thing that's really irking me right now, and it's probably irking a lot of people, is probably the reflexes on the goalkeepers inside the box needs to be toned down just a slight bit, right? Because there's a lot of goals that should be clear goals, right? Not the ones that are iffy. There's a lot of goals that should be absolutely clear goals, right? That you're not being able to score, right? So make of that what you will, right? So a lot of blunt goals have to happen, right? Especially in the higher divisions, it's probably going to be like that, right? Until we get better strikers. So maybe we won't have this issue for too much longer once we start picking up icons, right? So as I promised, right, we are working up to, in terms of trading, we haven't pulled anything huge, like hyper huge, right? So as soon as the first SBC drops, and if the first SBC is good, we'll have players ready for that. Or if not, we will be able to unload a lot of the investments that I am making right now into players for when the market does insanely rise, right? So that's going to be the video for today, and I'm definitely standing by my review. Jesus Navas is a 9.5. Remember, I'm coming off of Carvajal, which he's fairly decent, right? But the best right back in La Liga right now is the Jesus Navas card. Take my word for it. If not, check some other videos and get an idea. Maybe he doesn't fit your playstyle. He fits my playstyle. That's why I give him such a high number. 9.0 to 9.5, just in case on the low end, right? But this has been Sid. Peace, love, all the blessings to you and yours. Hit that subscribe button. Cheers.